Hello, it is me, Jen, and I am putting in my YouTube reps. I just got back from a walk, not an album walk, but a just 10,000 step walk. So I've been trying to do that every single day, and so far, so good. And I wanted to share that that did not come from one day deciding. It came from many years of practice. And if you are in that space of being a beginner at something, at sucking at something, I want to just encourage you, because I remember being back, and I want to say my 20 something, 30 something year old self, I would always look for people who had succeeded in something that, specifically, I just want to be real with you. Back in the days when everybody went to Weight Watchers meetings, I used to do that for many, many years. And they used to have a magazine that you would get, and they would have features of success stories. And I remember like looking at the before and after picture, right? Because that's what we always see. We see the before and we see the after. And so I'd find somebody about my age, about my height, maybe my stage in life, and sort of pattern my own journey with theirs. And I used it as inspiration. And I feel like we do that now on a massive level. Sorry about the craziness. I'm going to get myself together. We do that on a massive level now with social media because we look at someone's after all the time. And they're editing like crazy, right? So I just wanted to show you a middle. I'm in the beginning, suck at my YouTube videos, right? But I'm putting in a rep. And so that is the important part for me, putting in a rep. And I always wanted to see those in between pictures. And I love when I see like somebody post a video that shows their weight loss journey, because it's a very visual journey. Like money is a little harder to do that with. There's certain things that are harder to do it with. But I love to see that there is a middle, right? And we get so discouraged and we want to quit at the beginning, at the first wobble, the first day that something goes off, and then we catastrophize and we say, oh my gosh, we have to like quit because we didn't do it perfectly. And I remember a mentor of mine, Melissa Catherine Farley, love her to pieces, had the privilege of coaching one of her groups. And I have to say, like, she said to me one time, just in a private session, she was like, you have perfectionist tendencies. And to me, I thought that meant that everything around me was perfect. And I'm like, no, I don't. Far from it. I am not perfect. But what she meant was that it's very all or nothing. It's like you are committed to something, you go at it full force, and then you're like, I didn't do it perfectly, so I beat myself up. And what that does is it robs you of those B- days that I mentioned before. And those are actually what builds up the character. So the reps build up your strength in anything. If you're building a muscle, the more reps you do over time, the stronger you get. And that's what you do with any skill you're building, any goal you're going after. It's the reps that you're doing. Now, yes, do I totally think that there's a lot of mindset involvement, a lot of alignment in your words? Absolutely. In fact, this morning I was thinking about how we talk to ourselves. And I've said this before to someone. If I was building a house and I was going around saying, I'm going to build this house, and in the next breath I was saying, it's so hard to build a house, I'm never going to build a house, I shouldn't build a house. And then the next day I was saying, I'm building this house, I'm going to build this house, I'm building this house, I'm hiring people, I'm doing the things. And then the next day I said, I'm never going to be able to build this house. It would be so confusing to the people helping me. You know, it's like you have this duality because you are not like showing up consistently. And showing up consistently doesn't mean showing up perfectly. It means showing up today. And just, I love, love, love that calendar thing where it's just like evidence to yourself that you showed up. Just a little tracking. And there's a saying, I don't know who originally said this. Rory Vaden is who I attribute it to. He says, what gets measured or monitored improves. And I have monitored things, little micro habits, for a very, very, very long time. And I do it on paper, or I do it on my calendar. And that's how I walked 900 miles in 6 months. I just kind of gauged how many miles I was going each day. So I knew what I needed to do each week. I knew what I needed to do each month. Now, that's a whole different ballgame than an outcome. So let me switch it back really quickly to weight loss and monitoring. Okay. When you have a goal like that and you're tied to the outcome of losing X pounds, I used to do this like a mad woman. I would say I needed to lose 20 pounds in 10 weeks, which would be 2 pounds a week, right? And I used to do that. And I'm like, okay, that means a 500 calorie deficit a day. And I did that for months on months and drove myself crazy. Okay. What is a better situation is the who you are becoming than what that looks like, what the weight is, what the ultimate outcome is, because it could be better. There are a lot of people with very low body fat, but their body weight is a lot. So comparatively to someone who has less body fat. So you can't really go by these kinds of metrics that are outcome based like that. What I would do instead, a lot of times, was focusing on the process. Am I getting faster? Am I getting stronger? I would look at the treadmill and go, oh, you know what? I'm getting a lot faster. That feels better to me. Because I was defining, the vision for myself was more than a number on a scale, right? It was who I was becoming in the process. So the number on the scale was, okay, yeah, whatever. Like the biggest deal for me was more like who I was becoming. And that was the healthiest version of myself that I could be. And so I was building on those things: my strength, my speed, my agility, my flexibility, my endurance. Pick something like that that resonates with you, that feels good with you. Maybe it's just being a person who moves more. And so when you monitor and you measure that, those other results will come. They'll come in their time, but you'll build that momentum and that feeling of success and confidence and trust in yourself by showing up daily to be that version of yourself that is healthy, that is active, that is energetic, by doing the things that that person does, instead of going, that is defined by a number on a scale. And you will start to feel better. You'll get those endorphins going, those good feeling hormones moving in your body, and you will feel better, and that'll just build the case for you, build more evidence. And then pretty soon your mind and body will be aligned, and you'll catch up and you'll be doing the things. But I would also encourage you to get away from the idea of the before and after pictures. Be good with the middle, and that's what that little tracking can do. Instead of it being a scorecard, let it be something like a barometer or a thermometer. Like, how am I feeling today? Looking for patterns, be an experiment. It's just data. It's just data. It's not, am I a good person? It's not, am I a failure? It's just data that you can use to build on. I was listening to a Tai Chi master. I can't remember his name. He has a TED Talk that's amazing. Anyways, he was talking about, instead of looking at your past as behind you, look at it as in front of you and your future catching up with you. And I love that because he verbalized it like your past is in front of you to learn from, to look at and learn from and assess. And you have to take a little moment to reflect on how well you're doing. And when you're sort of like tracking along and monitoring how you're doing, you wouldn't want to go to a doctor and have him never write anything in your chart and just hopefully remember, right? You would want him to be tracking along. Is this condition progressing? Is this improving or getting worse? And that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's your own chart, so to speak, that you are participating in. And you're arming yourself with knowledge and wisdom about you. And I love doing it on paper versus an app. I'll say it again and again and again. I love me some apps. I use a Fitbit app to log my food and that. But sitting down and being quiet and undistracted by all the chirping of your phone and maybe listening to chirping of birds instead is such a blessing, and it soothes the soul. And I think we all need a little bit of peace right now, and we all need a moment to connect in to something beyond us, not just random strangers on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm really hoping to do on this channel, is to build connection. Just, if nothing else, with you and your soul, you and your people, you and the greater community as it is, you and God. I want you to feel connected in a way that doesn't require electricity. I mean, I love that. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm saying this or that. I'm saying this and that. But so often we use that phone as a crutch, and we're so connected to it that we never take time to connect in with ourselves. And that's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. And you're doing yourselves a big disservice, trust me. I've done it for 30 years, and it has been the biggest blessing, more than any app, more than any AI. I use those tools too. But 5 minutes a day of connecting in with yourself is a big deal. And this whole process of me writing for 30 years has let me see the in-between. When I read it out loud, which took me a year and a half to do, I got to see all the in-between. I know the before and after, but reading that in-between helped me to see, like, I was isolating memories and making myself a failure for things. And then I would read, let's say I was saying, when I would just remember without reading it back, right? You're going about your day and you're repeating something to yourself, like I gave the house example, and saying, oh, I suck at this. I'm so bad at that. I wish I would have never done this like this. I can't believe I did that. What a fool. Or whatever, some kind of regret that you might have. When you're doing that, you are so isolating that memory. I guarantee it. Like, so going back to some of those things that I had done that with, and then reading the context of what happened in the months or years leading up to it, and the days and weeks and months following, as my 50-year-old self reading back my 35-year-old self or something, it was like, girl, no wonder. Like, I was able to have some mercy and some compassion on myself, and I want to encourage you to do the same. If you're remembering something and you're looking at it as this thing back here that's kind of holding you back, put it out in front of you and just say thanks. Thanks. I learned a lot from that, and I wouldn't be where I am now without that. And maybe what you learned is no longer relevant. Maybe it is. Maybe it can use some tweaking, but if you take a little bit of time to reflect and lay it out and say, okay, I did that, that's fine. that was my middle on the way to where I am now. Show yourself some compassion and some grace, and then we move on. Then we do the next thing. And you can only be right here today doing today's reps. You can't really be worried about what you didn't do back then and what you should have done and shoulda, coulda, woulda. You can't do that. You can do jack squat about what tomorrow brings. Sure, you can do some preparation. Sure, you can do some learning. But really, you have this moment today, so just use it. Use it in a way that feels like the healthiest, happiest, joyful, peaceful, loving person that you can be today. And take ownership of that. Don't give that power away to somebody else. You take ownership of your moment right now, and your future self will look back on those journal entries and say, thank you for showing up, just like I have. I'm so thankful to myself for writing all of those journal entries and for taking all of the steps I've taken and for listening to all the music I've listened to and for all the mistakes I've made. So you can do the same. Your middle is right now, and probably when you get to what you think will be your after picture, it'll be a new middle. So enjoy today, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey that you're on, and be sure to take a little moment to appreciate how far you've come, where you are today, and where you will be. Cheers to your journey.